Hey, what's up guys, and welcome indeed to the Season 20 Leveling and Starter Guide to get you towards the endgame as fast as possible. So, just as a heads up, I'll provide everything that I'm mentioning down below in the description box as well as in the pinned comment. But we're going to be using a lot of different websites for sources to make your progression a little bit easier and kind of track our progress. We're going to be first off showing off the Diablo Seasons quick season start tracker. We'll be following this pretty much throughout its entirety, but there are a few optimization and other paths that you can indeed take, but for the most part it is relatively efficient, so we're going to be using it so you can kind of have this side by side, so you can open this up in another tab if you wish to go ahead and do so to make things a little bit easier, and you can go ahead and actually click on certain aspects of it and you can kind of see what you've completed, so it's real easy for that. So first off, create a new seasonal character. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Make a new character and make sure you go ahead and click on the season box. And then what you want to do is complete the challenge rift and open up the reward bag. So let me go ahead and show you guys that. So what you're going to actually need to do is you're going to go into game settings over here and select challenge rifts. If you guys have not done the challenge rift before and you don't know what the heck it is, I have a video showing off what the first challenge rift is going to be for season 20, and that will also be pinned in the comment section below. And basically it's just a rift that you're going to go ahead and complete, and then you're going to be getting a bunch of bounty rewards. So when you complete this, you'll be getting a bag and you're going to open it up, and these are the things that you're going to be getting out of your bag, and I'll show you guys that in a second here. But that's the next thing that you want to go ahead and do after creating a seasonal character. But we're going to go ahead and hop right into the game. And we want to make sure adventure mode is selected. If you guys do not have this mode unlocked, what you do have to do is complete the entire campaign first. So if you haven't done that and you want like a full walkthrough, I have a video down below and I'll post that as well for an entire completion of the entire campaign. But we're going to go ahead and select adventure mode. Go ahead and select master difficulty, and you can always lower the difficulty, but it's more difficult to make the difficulty higher. But just go ahead, select a master difficulty, and hop right into adventure mode with your newly created seasonal character. So we're going to go ahead and just click start and hop right in. So the next thing that is on the list is to actually go ahead and equip some pet. The wings and portrait don't really matter. The pet does matter. The reason why the pet does matter is because it does pick up gold, and it's kind of nice just to go ahead and have the ability to, again, just have gold. So go ahead and equip whatever pet you want. It doesn't really matter other than the cosmetic. It's just there to pick up the gold. So go ahead and select whatever pet that you want to go ahead and have. Now, I mentioned that we got to go ahead and open up that bounty bag, and I've already completed the challenge rift, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what that looks like. So over on the bottom left, you'll see this little mailbox. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to go ahead and say the challenge rift reward. We're going to go ahead and claim that into our inventory, and then we're going to go ahead and right click on it, and it will go ahead and give us all of these materials as well as a bunch of gold to get us really started, along with some blood shards to go ahead and have at our disposal to go ahead and use at Kadala early on. But certain classes will have certain levels that we want to go ahead and actually reach before spending our blood shards. Is actually pretty important. Now, going into the next step is to hire the Templar, take his weapon, and give him the Enchantress weapon. So let's go ahead and show how that works really quick, because he actually has a little bit more damage. So we'll go ahead and hire the Templar, and then we'll go ahead and go to the Templar over here. We're going to take his weapon and his shield if your class can equip it, and then we're going to go ahead and go to the Enchantress and go to the inventory. We'll take her weapon as well, and then we will give her weapon to the Templar over here. It's a small amount of damage, but hey, everything matters in the very beginning anyways. And then the next thing that we're actually going to go ahead and do, and this is where we kind of don't follow the quick season start tracker in order, because this way will be a little bit faster. The next thing that you want to do is acquire the Kanai's Cube. You don't actually have to swap it to normal difficulty if you're able to complete it. Most people can probably still do it on like hard difficulty, but if you really need to make it on easy, like for whatever reason it might be too hard, you can definitely change the difficulty. But you want to go ahead and go to Act 3, the Ruins of Sushron. which is just going to go ahead and be in the top right over here. So you want to go ahead and get the cube. If you don't know the exact location, I'm just going to pin a video down below, but basically you just go through it and then you will go ahead and get Kanai's Cube, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. But there is something different with Season 20 that you can level up by doing this like other secret cow level, which is more specific to this season because of its time frame. But for the most part, you're just going over there to get the cube, and if you don't know how to get the cube, I will have that video pinned down below in the comment section below. Alright, now that we have the Kanai's Cube, we're going to go ahead and now level up the blacksmith. We've gotten a bunch of materials and gold from doing the challenge rift, so we're going to use those materials and actually level up the blacksmith to the maximum rank that we can. So mine's already maxed out because the season hasn't started, but you just go ahead and level them up to the max level, and this will allow you to go ahead and craft a weapon. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting because it's different for every single class, and I'll kind of mention what you want to try to look for every single class. Let me go and pop that up on the screen over here. I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. So depending on what class that you are playing, we're actually looking at this section right here that says upgrade weapon. So depending on what we're playing, we're going to go ahead and actually craft a different type of a weapon. So in our case, since we are playing Necromancer, we're going to be making a two-handed scythe. But again, depending on your class, look at the corresponding thing that you're going to go ahead and actually upgrade. One thing that is important, you'll see where it says 3 out of 6, which says 50%. That is showing off the chance to actually randomly generate a legendary weapon that will have a multiplier that we want. So as soon as you're able to go ahead and do this, you're going to have a huge multiplier on a certain ability. This makes it very, very easy to go ahead and throw into your Kanai's Cube and actually extract a legendary power. We're not going to be able to equip it immediately, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a legendary item that will be level 70, but we can't equip it, so we're going to extract a legendary power via the cube. So let me go ahead and actually show you guys how this looks. So like I said, it's different for every single class. Look at the right side, not the left side. The left side is for blood shards, which we'll do in a moment. But what we want for the Necromancer is to upgrade it, again, two-handed scythe. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, one thing I want to mention with the Necromancer is it says 4 to 4, 100%. The reason why a lot of people will be starting off with Necromancer is simply because you have 100% chance to actually create a weapon that will have a multiplier for you, which is huge because the rest of the classes, with the exception of the Demon Hunter, will all have a RNG chance, whereas the Demon Hunter, it's more so like 50% because it takes so long for you to go ahead and actually utilize the Lord's Greenstone. So all these will have some type of bonus damage to some type of ability. The reason why the Necromancers is so good is because you basically have more freedom with the class as far as what you want to really do, unless you happen to get the Petrified Spike, which only works with Bone Spear. But for the most of it, you'll be able to utilize whatever you want, and you'll be at a huge advantage at the start. So again, we're going to go ahead and craft the two-handed scythe. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and go to the forged weapon, and then we're going to go ahead and make sure we go to the two-handed scythe, and then we're going to go ahead and craft a level 71. So we're going to go ahead and craft this one. It's going to take a second, and then we're going to go ahead and see the item. You'll see that we cannot equip it right now, but that's okay. What we're going to go ahead and do is use the Kanai's Cube, and we're going to use the recipe called Hope for Cain. It's actually on page 3. We're going to go ahead and put in our two-handed scythe or whatever weapon that we want to go ahead and have a chance at, but with Necromancer we'll have a 100% chance. Now you won't have the exact same amount of materials, but you'll have enough to be able to create one of these. So we're going to go ahead and transmute, and we happen to get the Shadow Hook. So you'll see with the secondary ability, it says every point of maximum essence increases your damage by 0.5%, and Bone Spikes generates an additional amount of essence, which has a random roll factor of anywhere from 2 to 5. It doesn't matter what that rolls, you're going to go ahead and put it in the cube anyways because you cannot equip it. So what we're going to do is go to the cube, and then we're going to go ahead and use the very first one that is going to extract the legendary power, and it's going to actually consume the item, just as a heads up. Now I already have this legendary power, but once that goes away, because it will go away, you're going to go ahead and click on your weapon over here, and because of the season 20 change, you actually can equip multiple weapons. Normally it's supposed to be one weapon, one armor, and one ring, but you can have multiple. The shadow hook is something that you can actually just incorporate, and then on top of that, if you get another one, you can actually run 2 copies of it. That's where Season 20 is a little bit different. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and go to the correct page over here. It is alphabetized, so we're going to go ahead and go on the shadow hook. And then now we're going to be doing a bunch more damage because we happen to have the shadow hook. So we just get free bonus amount of damage based on the amount of maximum essence that we have. So this is going to be our huge DPS boost over here. Alright, so once you go ahead and have your weapon DPS multiplier, if you got it, again, every class is different over here. There might not be 100% chance for your class, and maybe you crafted a weapon that doesn't have a multiplier. That's unlucky, it happens, but you still have a chance with your blood shards. Now, this is something that's actually pretty important to mention. Depending on what class you play, you might want to go ahead and use your blood shards at level 1. Some classes, it might not be good to use it at level 1. Like, for example, you can see on the wizard over here, Etch Sigil is at level 33. So depending on your level, you actually want to go ahead and maybe acquire this earlier on or later on. And it might be very important to get it earlier on because some items will have a higher chance to drop at a lower level with the Kadala blood shards. Let me go ahead and kind of explain this. So if I was to go ahead and use my blood shards at Kadala for, let's say, a source, which is like the offhand over here, you'll see that Etch Sigil is at level 33. This website is the d3planner.com, and I'll link that also down below. But Etch Sigil can drop at level 33, whereas once we hit level 34, we can get Light of Grace. We don't want Light of Grace. It doesn't really give us a multiplier. Mirror Ball doesn't give us a multiplier. It technically gives us extra magic missiles, but we want something that gives us bonus damage. That's what we're really looking for with these blood shards over here. So make sure that you go ahead and check out the website again, depending on what you want to roll for. Now, there are a few class multipliers that can actually be doubled up over here where you can kind of stack them. Let me go ahead and give you an example with, let's say, the Demon Hunter. So with the Demon Hunter, we can see that we have a 50-50 of getting the Lord Greenstone's Fans or Carly's Point. If we go ahead and get Carly's Point over here, which is an item that gives us bonus damage with Impale, we can also get another bonus with the Impale skill if we happen to go ahead and actually go and at a specific level over here, you'll see we'll go ahead and swap it over to Demon Hunter, and at specifically level 31, we can get the Holy Point Shot, which is a bonus with Impale where it's going to throw 2 additional knives. So we can kind of stack, not only if we get lucky and get, let's say, the Carly's Point, we can also use our blood shards at specifically level 31 to go ahead and actually get the Holy Point Shot. Now, depending on what class you're playing and what you actually get on your legendary weapon, if you got it, because remember, it's completely random, you want to try to go for your blood shards at maybe different levels. And again, I'll link that down below. I won't go over every single class and what you rolled and what you should roll because, again, it's random. You might get an item as you progress, and that might kind of change your opinion on what you want to actually try to get. Now, another thing I want to mention that's actually pretty important with Kadala over here is certain things will cost more. You'll see that we'll have 475 to spend, so we have a decent chance to go ahead and actually get something, but some items will cost 75, some will cost 25. I recommend going for the ones that cost 25. You'll see over in the example over here, they mention that with the Necromancer, you can go for the Circle of Deluge, or you can go ahead and get the Grasp of Essence over here, which are going to be some gloves over here that can proc with bonus damage to Corpse Explosion over here. So you can kind of decide what you want to go ahead and go for, depending on, again, what you roll. With us, we got the Shadow Hook, so that's going to increase the damage of everything, so I can go ahead and go for Corpse Explosion, because maybe there is a rune, potentially, like this one over here. Let me go ahead and actually move this out of the way, which is going to be, let's say, Poison, if I happen to get the one that has bonus poison damage. In our case, it doesn't really matter, but I can get bonus damage with Corpse Explosion, and I can get bonus damage with the Shadow Hook. So that's really what you're trying to search for when you are trying to go with your blood shards. So let's go ahead and spend some blood shards. We might not get it, but just as a heads up, it's all RNG here, but we'll go ahead and look. Oh, we happen to get them. That's pretty lucky. So this is in a situation where we would be getting a double multiplier, and this is what can make you be able to scale and just make the difficulty go up a lot higher. But yeah, this is the blood shard mechanic over here, and that's kind of how you utilize it. If you have extra, a lot of people like to go ahead and start going for the helms, because you can get a lower crown. Okay, this is like insane luck, but if I was to get like this setup right here, as soon as the season starts with the Grasp of Essence, and I got a Leoric's Crown, which later I can throw in a ruby in it and get massive bonus experience once we go ahead and get a gem. This would be like a super huge head start on this season, but that's how we would utilize our blood shards. Again, both of the things will be pinned down below. Alright, one thing I do want to go ahead and mention is that you cannot double up on any of the legendary powers. As in, if I go ahead and have that Season 20 buff, which is going to give us the ability to go ahead and have multiple weapons, I can't put in 2 copies of the Shadow Hook. You can only still have 1 copy of each item, but you can have multiple weapons. So the next step after we go ahead and have our DPS boost, the next step is actually going to be go ahead and choosing how we actually want to progress in the game. There are several different ways to level up, and it's kind of up to you and how you want to do it. If you guys want my recommendation, I'm going to recommend you guys to do the rifts. So you have a few different options, and I'm going to go ahead and go over all of them really quick. So the first option is to go ahead and do the Nephilim rifts. These are really good because it's a lot more enjoyable, honestly, than doing some of the same farming methods over and over again, which are going to be either doing the cleavers method, which is you go ahead and hop right into the halls of agony, and you just go ahead and look for these cleavers, which you guys can see on the screen, and you do it in Torment 6, which is the highest difficulty that you can have as soon as you start the season. But basically you lure the enemies over to the cleavers and they die instantly, but it's just really not enjoyable to do it for several hours. I know there's people that do like it, so I'll mention it, but there's also the Kanai's Stomping Ground, and I'll show you guys gameplay of that method, but I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with rifts, so I'm not going to go ahead and do like a full rift for you guys, but that is the primary way that I personally like to do it, because you have a higher chance for legendaries, and again, it's just a much more enjoyable experience. But all you got to do to go ahead and hop right in is just click on the Nephilim obelisk, and again, this is only for adventure mode. You click on Nephilim and you go ahead and click accept, and it's going to open up a portal, and you go ahead and complete it. It's just a much more enjoyable experience than the rest of them, because it's not as repetitive. Plus, you also get blood shards from it. But let me go ahead and show you the new Season 20 method of leveling that's only available for the month of March. Alright, so I said I'd show off the Season 20 Kanai Stomping Ground, and here's how you actually locate it. So here's where the Kanai's Cube would be in Elder Sanctum, and this tile set is actually going to be the exact same every single time. So you'll end up having to farm this over and over again, but this is how this seasonal leveling works. And again, this is only available for Season 20, so if you want to take advantage of it while you can go ahead and feel free to go ahead and do so. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Immortal Throne. This is just like towards the left side over here, and you'll see that there is King Kanai. And I'll come over. Cool little event thing over here, and you'll see that there is a portal that will open up, and this is the Kanai's Stomping Ground. So this is again another way that you can level up. It's not the cow level, but it's the cow level. Anyways, so yeah, this is just an area that you can go ahead and complete. The density's okay, but that is another way that you can level up. People really like to go ahead and do that, but there is technically another way to level up. And I want to go ahead and actually just mention that it's very tedious to do this. I actually was wondering if it was actually like super fast in terms of speed, but it's not going to be that much faster in terms of doing like the full like 1 through 70. But I do want to mention specifically, once you hit level 7 to 10, you can look for these vendors called the fences, and we're going to go ahead and actually do that. So we see one of the fencers over here, and we're looking for a ring that offers like 2 to 4 damage. You can find them in several different acts. I usually like to go to the Act 1 vendor over here, but even though it only adds a small amount of damage, it actually adds a huge amount of actual damage, because everything will be scaling off of that number, if that makes sense. So you can go ahead and go over to Radic the Fence over here, and oh, here we go, perfect, first try. And if you are playing in a group, these are tradable, or basically you can give it to them. So you want to go ahead and actually purchase a bunch of these. So if you're in a party and you've got like a few friends with you, buy them each, get them for everyone, and then your progression will be a lot faster. And then the next thing you want to do is basically start setting up all of your weapons for your leveling. So you're going to actually start crafting some weapons so you can use them as you go ahead and progress. So let's go ahead and actually check off the check for fences at level 7 to 10. The next step that we want to do is to craft a two-handed weapon at blacksmith and a socket in your helmet. So we didn't really pick up any of the gear, but I do want to go ahead and mention, if you happen to get a helm, try to get a socket on it so you can go ahead and put a ruby, because that will increase your experience. Or if you get a Leoric's crown, that's also something that's going to have a socket in it. And then we're going to go ahead and actually start crafting weapons so we can use them as we go ahead and progress. Alright, so our next step is to craft those two-handed weapons, so let's go ahead and show off how to do that. So one thing I want to go ahead and mention is you will have to have a blacksmith leveled up for this, but what you want to actually craft is going to go ahead and be a two-hander because they actually scale better. We actually want to focus in on the axe as well as the mace. The reason why is because they won't be rolling with like +2 like energy, and that's actually something that's important because when we go ahead and re-roll some of the stats on it, we don't want those modifiers. So we're going to go ahead and stick with the mace or the axe. It doesn't really matter too much, but for the most part, people just go for the axe. And it doesn't really matter too much. But you want to go ahead and actually first try to craft a level 70 weapon with a specific secondary stat. You don't really care too much about the primaries. I mean, ideally, if it can have extra intelligence or whatever your main stat is, you want to actually get one of those if you can, but the most important thing is actually on the secondary here. So you won't be able to craft a ton of these because these will cost your materials, and you won't happen to have the ability to craft infinite amount of these. But what you're really looking for first is try to craft a few of these with chance to like freeze on hit or chance to do something. The reason why you want it to have some type of CC on the weapon is because when you go ahead and go to the Mystic, remember that you'll have to level this up. So we got it on our second try, which is quite great. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and enchant it. But we're going to go ahead and actually keep this stat on it. The reason why is because if I was to use this weapon right here that doesn't have that chance to CC, and I try to roll it, again, this is the level 71, I could still happen to get that chance to fear, stun, blind, freeze, slow, immobilize. I can get those on the weapon. I don't want any of those. So what I'm going to do is take the weapon that can have that chance to do whatever on hit, but roll the other thing on it. The reason why I want to roll the other thing on it is because I want this weapon to be utilized at earliest. We can use it at level 40. Theoretically, if you get an ancient weapon, you can technically use it at level 30 versus 40, but it's very unlikely that you get that. So for the sake of the video, this is much more consistent. So we're looking to get as high number as we can as possible with the possible properties. So it does vary a lot from the range here. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys a couple rolls here, and I'll bind it to your account. So you'll see we didn't unfortunately get the level reduced. It's supposed to be like basically a 1 in 3 chance that it rolls on it, but it's just this game sometimes unlucky RNG. So now you can see it requires us to be level 48. At this point, what I would do is I got one of these. It's not too bad. I like to spend all of mine to get it as close as I possibly can, but you guys can kind of gauge your luck on this. As you keep on re-rolling, it will cost gold, but don't worry, gold in Diablo doesn't really mean anything. You want this to be as high as possible. You want it to be, ideally you get it to level 30 as the reduction, which means that you can start using a level 70 weapon at level 30. But yeah, just keep on rolling if you want to, and you'll go ahead and be able to use a very, very strong weapon at a low level. But I also want to mention that you can kind of create a bunch of different weapons. Now these ones you don't have to look for the level requirement reduction. You're just going to go ahead and craft weapons that you can use as you progress. So if you want to go ahead and make one at level 16, 21, you can basically make a bunch of these if you want to as you progress. Sometimes they will be better than what you have, sometimes they won't be, but you only need to go up to like, let's say 40-ish, because again, at that point you might be able to, this one I'll be able to use it at 48, so I wouldn't need to craft like a 50 if that makes sense, because I'll have a level 70 weapon. But yeah, go ahead and start crafting these, and if you happen want to, you can craft them as you progress, like because you might get a weapon that's better if you really wanted to min-max on saving these, but I wouldn't really worry about these. I would just start crafting a bunch of these, and then make sure you don't, when you go ahead and salvage, you don't salvage the ones that you actually just went ahead and crafted over there. But just, yeah, keep that in mind as well, because they will be deleted over here if you don't modify them. If you do modify them, like the one I did over here, it won't disenchant it, but make sure you guys go ahead and actually do that. So now that check is indeed complete. But yeah, that's the craft the two-handed weapon, and then if you do happen to have ruby, go ahead and put that in your helmet. It's the gem. I don't have a lower level one, but if you want to see what the gem looks like for the sake of being as thorough as possible, this is what it does. It will grant you bonus experience up until level 70, which still gives you bonus experience, but at a huge reduction in its rate. And then from here out onto 70, you're just going to go ahead and choose your leveling method, which again I mentioned already before, but to go ahead and mention it again, you have the option of doing the rifts, you have the option of doing the massacre bonuses, you can do the Halls of Agony, Temple of the Firstborn, Ruins of Corvus. These are really great areas to get this massacre bonus. Alternatively, you can go ahead and do the Cleavers method or the Kanai Stomping Ground, which I already showed off. Just choose your method and kind of just do your little progression from there on out. And I've already shown you guys the weapon. And pretty much as you progress in the game, a little pop-up will come up. Yeah, select your passive, which is pretty much just at 10 level intervals, with the exception of the final one acquiring at level 70. But yeah, you pretty much will be equipping your passives. This one is random, but if you happen to get the Canes or Born set, you're actually going to be getting bonus XP. Let me go and show you guys what that looks like. So if you come across a goblin that drops the plans for the Cane set, you can actually craft the Cane set and potentially get bonus XP on your character, so that would be nice, but again, that's random. You might not always get that, so don't worry if you don't get that. And then of course at level 30 you're going to get another passive. Now at level 33 over here, it says in a group snapshot, run bounties in a level 1 T6 game. It's part of the season journey anyways, and you're going to end up requiring to do this. I would recommend just skipping out on this. I would rather just do rifts personally, and then you'll do your bounties at a higher difficulty later down the line for the season journey, as you'll be required to kill certain bosses on certain torment difficulties, which will also be a part of your season journey anyways, because you're going to need to do the bounties. I'd rather double up on these, so this is where I skip out on this for now. But I already showed you guys the craft / enchant, so we're going to go and check that box as well. And then crafting armor, this I would skip out on pretty much. I mean, yeah, you can craft armor, but really what's the point? I mean, if you happen to have extra materials, you can do it, but I'd rather save the materials anyways for reroll, so I would skip out on this. This is again where I would differ from it. Equipping your 4th passive skill once you get 70, and then I would skip out on the rest of these and then just basically use the D3 resource for this entire season journey, which this one also has a little checkbox over here too, but this is going to be for a separate video. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too much information on one video. But yeah, there it is, guys, the entire season 1 through 70 leveling guide, and as far as like what you need to do in between doing the rifts. Once again, just again, if you want my suggestions, just do the Nephilim rifts. They're super simple to go ahead and do, because all you do is you just kill a bunch of monsters. At the very end, you fight a boss, you'll get blood shards. It's just a much more enjoyable experience than doing repeats of the same thing over and over again. And if you want a good time frame for how long this will take, it depends on your gear. And if you happen to get better gear, you can go ahead and up the difficulty. Pretty much just go up into the point where you feel like you're not progressing as fast as you should, and then just go ahead and lower the difficulty. You can always lower your difficulty in game, so I recommend just go as high as you possibly can. Not Torment 6, really. Torment 1 is at most what you're going to be able to do, unless you get a double multiplier on like your random Kadala roll, plus you get the Hope of Cain roll. So it's kind of random as far as like how high you should go in difficulty, but if you're feeling like you can clear out stuff way faster, go ahead and leave the game, remake the game at a higher difficulty, and you can always lower it. So you can always, again, just click on lower difficulty in game, and it's much easier than to go to a lower difficulty and leave every single time and go higher, if that makes sense. So start out higher and then just lower it if things are too difficult. But there it is, guys, the entire season starter / leveling guide. And if you guys want to check out my other videos to kind of help you guys out, like I mentioned before, if you're looking to complete complete the entire challenge rift, which I mentioned. Everything will be located again in the pinned comment, whether you need to know where the Kanai Cube is, or if you want to actually check out the entire Season 20 rewards, I will also have a video pinned down below, and you guys can check that one out if you want to get more stash space, if you want to get the pet, and as well as the entire season journey, which is going to be a topic for another video, which I'll be updating later down the line. And if you guys want to check out some of the gameplay of the new sets, there's a new Hydra set, new Barbarian set, Witch Doctor set. I got gameplay of all those, and those will be also pinned down below in the comment section below. But in addition to that, I will update the Kanai Cube guide very soon, but I'm going to need a few days for that because I need the meta to kind of shift off because of some newer buffs and nerfs over here. I don't want to give you guys the wrong info on that, so that will be out in a couple days as, of course, the season just came out. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you are new here and you want to see more Diablo as well as other gaming content, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more. Also want to go ahead and plug in my Twitch really quick because some of you guys might need a power level, and we always power level you guys every single season. And if you want to stop by my stream, feel free to go and do so, but give me like a day or two so I can go ahead and max out. That way I can actually power level you guys very, very fast as opposed to doing it really slow. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Also, I want to mention real quick, for those of you guys that want Path of Exile, I'll also be doing Path of Exile Delirium, which happens to be on the exact same day. So it's going to be a wild day with action RPGs on the 13th for sure, but we'll give you guys all the content. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great day or night, and enjoy your Season 20, and I'm out. Peace.